Hello everyone, this is Lawrence. How you doing? Making a video. Since I've been making these videos on my laptop, I sure enjoy it a lot better because I don't have to set up the camcorder and all that and transfer the video to the computer. It's already there onto the laptop. And the picture quality is a lot better. Not perfect, but still a lot sharper. The color is a little bit better than the camcorder. So I've been enjoying doing that. The weather, I think we got some kind of front that has stalled. So the last 3 days, it's been overcast, rain, and then the rain stopped, but still overcast with a lot of gusty winds. As you can see out the window there, the tree branches are swaying. But I kind of like this weather, and we had temperatures from the 40s and 50s. So spring has not really broken in yet as far as the temperatures go. I mean, everything's, all the trees have bloomed. Okay, this video here, and this is going to be part of a series of 2 or 3 videos, probably 3, maybe even 4, of newer artists who do not get the recognition they deserve in mainstream music, okay? Some years back, I became very dissatisfied with what was going on with popular music that's popular. And so I got looking on the internet. And to me, the internet's the new radio. You can't rely on mainstream sources anymore for worthy new artists. And I made a lot of great discoveries. And I know people my age, they always say, when you ever approach them on new music, they always say, well, I don't like hip hop or rap. And they think that's the only thing that's out there, which is not. There's a lot of great new artists who you can find that are not on the radio or TV and all those other sources. And frankly, some of them don't want mainstream success. They reach the level where they can make a living, touring, and they have a fan base, and they feel like if they go for the big popularity stuff, they compromise their music, which is fine. So today I'm going to show you some of my discoveries, and this led to album purchases. And I think it's very good to support an artist through the purchase of their music. Not that they're going to get rich off of it, but it's a vote. It's your vote of what you consider good, And if an artist, saying, "Oh, I sold, 300 copies of my album," very low numbers compared to the years past, but I sold 300 albums this week. So somebody appreciates my music, and you can't buy everything. I use services like the streaming services like Spotify to look around to see what I want to buy. You can't buy everything. Even in the days of, radio, you could not buy anything, but you tune in and you find something you really like. So you go out and, you buy the album. So part 1 of this series, we're going right ahead. There was a Sunday morning when this album came out, just came out, and I was on the Rolling Stone magazine website, and you could listen to the entire album. This was a little bit as streaming was just starting to come in. And it was Sunday morning. I had my coffee. I was very relaxed from a good night's sleep. I listened to this album. I was just stunned, amazed, So I thought to myself, my God, I got to call my independent record store dealer and order this album, which I did. By the way, this music I'm presenting has more of a kind of an old school feel, okay? But it doesn't sound dated or stale, okay? Uh, sure, modern recording techniques were used, but no auto tunes or tape loops, or it doesn't sound like it was generated from a computer. It sounded like it, real musicians playing and writing actual songs. Old school in that way, but presented uh, in a youthful perspective. Okay, and plus also moving it forward. Anyway, this album I heard Sunday morning on the laptop or the computer. Listened to the entire thing. I was blown away. And this is actually their second album. I haven't got the first one yet. I did buy the follow up to this one, which is a great follow up. Fleet Foxes' Hopelessness Blues. Oh, look at that artwork. Isn't that cool? This is a gatefold double album. It's not a double album in the sense of, number of songs. It's a double album as they took much songs on a single album and spread it out on 2 discs, which accounts for better sound quality because you're not squeezing the grooves in as much. It has the posters, and I would describe this as like folk rock, okay? And it has it doesn't rely as much on the electric guitars, and when you do hear electric guitars, they kind of sound more like played like folk instruments, okay? You have more exotic instruments, and I'm not going to list them, like Winwoods and all of that. So the emphasis is not on rock guitar. It's more of a kind of a folky. The harmonies on this album are incredible. It sounds like an album recorded by angels in a grand cathedral, and the lead vocalist, the leader, don't know his name right offhand, memories, but I just want to focus on the album. Has a vocal style of a gentler Neil Young, and all the songs are very melodic, very laid out in parts. It's just amazing. So if you like Cosby, Stills, Nash and Young and those kind of vocal harmonies, America, you're going to love this album. I recommend it. The next album is by a group. I think they formed in 2011. They've had 3 albums out, but this was their debut album, Temple's Sun Structure. Isn't that a cool album cover? Okay. Their sound is labeled neo-psychedelic. This album sounds like it could have been recorded in 1967. It just has that really period psychedelic sound, and they nailed that sound. They nailed it. This is a classic. This album could stand up with all the classic albums of the past, the psychedelic era. Okay, so the title track, Sun Structure, is like the modern day, the song by Iron Butterfly. I can't pronounce it, but it was In the Garden of Eden. It's sort of like a modern day version of feel of that. Okay, it's not as long. This has the vocal harmonies like the Hollies on it, and every song is just so damn catchy. you'll love it right away. They did a follow-up called Volcano, which was a kind of a detour, more of 80s synth rock, you know, which kind of threw me off at the beginning. But once I got into this album, I really like it. And their new album, which came out last fall, Hot Motion, back to the psychedelic stuff, and it's about as good as this album. So a group worth checking out. Start with this album first. This is absolutely stunning. Album I picked up the other week. I did a video on it. If you like the folk music with more of an that region of the mountain region of the country, I just can't pronounce it right now. You know, up in West Virginia, the coal country, and Kentucky and Tennessee, Appalachian, okay, area. This artist here, Ian No, tells the tales of and stories of what rural life is like in that area. A little bit of the dark side of poverty, drug addiction, bad relationships, but there's also a hopeful spirit to it as well. Look at that album cover, and that's like some rural highway with a dog that's been hit. You know, kind of reflects the bleakness of this album, but it's acoustic with some electric guitar, playing electric guitars. The production is great, and he has a great freaking voice. Okay. That matches the narrative, the storytelling. So this is a great album to check out. A band I really got into, and this is the one that was my diving point, and they did a successful follow-up. The War on Drugs. They actually won a Grammy for Best Rock Album with their last album. This is absolutely great, kind of America's songwriting with ambience, you know, kind of music that is more atmospheric. Okay, there we go. This is another single album that's been put on 2 discs, and the follow-up was great. Oh, Alabama Shakes. I'm sure you might have heard of them. Brittany Howard, the lead vocalist, rhythm guitarist, and the leader of the band. She has a powerhouse voice, just stunning. Been compared to Janis Joplin, which there's some parallels, but you know, she's doing her own thing. I think I got a sneeze coming on. Allergies. This is the debut album, Boys and Girls. Let me take this out. This was a bonus 45 of 2 songs that were not on the album, and they're great songs too. Boys and Girls, I think there's like 11 tracks, and the lead-off song is called Hold On. That was the first song I ever heard from them, the video. And I thought, oh my God, great. A great R&B, Southern blues, R&B, Muscle Shoals type of sound. And they did a very successful follow-up called Sound and Colors. And Brittany, there she is, has since put out a fantastic solo album. I'm all into Alabama Shakes and Brittany Howard, what she's doing. Great album, great. Here's a artist that was with this album. This was a very successful album here of Monsters and Men, and they had a number of radio hits, and they're from like Iceland, you know. I could describe this as folk music for the stadium. You know, they have a big sound, two vocalists, and just great. Now they put out two albums since this one that hasn't been as successful, but are still very good. I don't. It's funny because when an artist these days, a new artist has a hit album or one that gets played on radio will treat it like it's the only thing they've ever recorded. So this is great. Here's an artist that really gets no attention in the mainstream, and I learned of her last year when her album came out, her sophomore album. I will butcher her name for theirs, but I'll just hold it up. This album is fabulous. No skip over tracks on any of these, including this one here. Her music is it's been described as kind of Southern Gothic storytelling or you know, lyrical poetry. Okay, and pull this out here. There's it on the back, and this is very interesting, and I recommended this to Lady Soul. She was so impressed she got the album and featured it on one of her videos. So that says enough right there. I'm going to leave a link to each of these artists from these albums so you can hear it yourself. But there's one song here, A Different Kind of Love, which has a really cool black and white video, and it has an image of like a European variety show done in black and white from the mid 1960s period. It's really cool. Okay. Did a video on this album right here. The First Aid Kit, I think this is like their fourth album. They're from Sweden, two sisters, absolutely amazing vocal harmonizing. They're kind of like a what I would describe as the modern version of female version of the Everly Brothers. Okay, and this is a great album. They've had four or five albums out. Probably this is the fifth one. And this is a good starting point, and you'll work your way down, okay? And the last artist, a friend recommended, it's in a frame. There's actually two albums in here. So I'm going to pull them out because there's something special about this one. My other video, live shows or studio albums, I mentioned about going to concerts these days, what it's like for me. And I go to, if I do go to a show, it's not as many, and it's usually a venue, a smaller venue of an up-and-coming artist. And a little over a year ago, I saw Valerie June. Now, her music has elements of country, bluegrass, pop, blues, Americana, Appalachian, and it's all put into a blender, and people have termed her music as organic, is organic moonshine, you know, because it's so different. And she has a very twangy, you know, kind of voice, and it may be an acquired taste to a lot of people, but if you could listen to her albums and the beauty of the lyrics and the expression, you would think, well, that's the perfect voice for it, you know. She had a lot of cool videos too of her performing, you know, just acoustic, and little small gatherings. And let me show you the album, one of the albums here, Valerie June, Pushing Against the Stone. And what's so cool is she has this really down home Tennessean personality, you know, hi y'all, and very friendly. She's very in touch with nature. She's been doing a lot of videos. One of the artists who's not performing now, but you know, staying home and just doing meditation videos and little performances in a natural setting. And you know, she talks about the nature, the wind, the sky, the air, and all that. This is her debut album, Pushing Against the Stone, and her sophomore album, which was my diving point, is The Order of Time. I absolutely adore this album, and was my first purchase. And I went to see her over a year ago at this small venue at Virginia Beach. It's only a 300-seater, and the concert hall is set up more like a college lecture hall, where they had these rows of columns of seating area, and her in the stage in the middle, and it comes down, so you're not looking at someone's head, you know. And the show she did was an acoustic solo tour, so she plays. Of course, guitar, both electric and acoustic, banjo, and another string instrument I don't know the name of. She has a very expressive but countrified voice, but very beautiful voice. And this show, it was so intimate that it was just her instruments, and she wears all these interesting clothes. That's one of there, you know, with a lot of shiny, reflective material. And she has the dreadlocks, which is cool. And when you look at this album, you think it's maybe a reggae or a hip hop album, but it's not. So I brought this album to the show in case. I brought a Sharpie in case I got in a situation where she could autograph them. Well, after the show, when I went to the concession table, they informed me she's going to do a meet and greet, you know, so that was cool. And so I went ahead and brought this album at the concession stand, and there was the meet and greet, and Valerie was very gracious with her time and talking to fans, and we chatted for a few moments. She signed my ticket receipt for the show, along with the 2 albums. This is done in more like a metallic silver right there. And I had her, this is a trend that I'm doing now whenever I get an opportunity for an artist to sign the album. Instead of just signing their name, I asked them if they could, and I usually pick out the line, if they could write a lyric line from the album. And put on my glasses. Put on my glasses. Okay, so I had her write, "Is there a light you have inside of you?" Right there. Okay, and then she signed. It's from the song Astral Plane. Beautiful, beautiful song. So I think by picking a lyric line, that makes the autograph a little special. So I also have another album I'll show you, okay, where I had the same thing done by another artist. So that's cool, and it, you know, maybe worth a little bit more because of that. So just to conclude, there are a lot of great artists out there who are not in the mainstream. So much so, so many great discoveries. I put a little Facebook page together called the Independent Music Listener, because that's what I am. I don't rely on the radio or television mainstream. I do my own independent research on the net, and it's fun. I like to discover a new artist on the internet. So I put a little Facebook page together called the Independent Music Listener. If you want to join it, I'll post the link too. That features such the artists I've discovered, and people can present as well. So for us old farts out there, there is hope. There's great music out there. Music has changed since the days. It's no longer big record sales and all that. It's touring and images and imagery and all that. So it's just really changed. But I am the type. They say once you get to a certain age, people stop listening to new music and they just rely on the what they grew up with. Okay, but I'm not like that. To me, finding new artists or veterans artists who are producing new music has always been a part of my music listening experience. So that has continued with me. Okay. It's just that the people I like now are not in the mainstream. I think today's music that's popular just doesn't have the same soul, the same true elements of the past. So when I find these artists here, that's what I look for. And I don't care if it's a bit of a feel of the past, well, you're just doing what, what's been done before. I mean, music is a very, is a path that's been really beaten down many times. So, I like what I like. That's it. So, we must support these artists too, as well. Very important to do that. So I'll just want to conclude now. Thank you so much for watching. I just ran a bit long, but when you're passionate about something you really like, you got to go for it. So y'all keep safe out there. Please leave a comment. Please consider joining the Independent Music Listener on Facebook. I'll put the link along with a link to each of these artists from these albums. Thank you very much for watching. Y'all take care. Bye.